Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're diving into a topic that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it is very, very real, and it's completely reshaping our world. We're talking about weapons that can outrun sound, drones that can literally think for themselves, and a future where the old rules of war are being torn up right before our eyes.
For most of the last century, the world was kind of frozen under the shadow of nuclear weapons. Now, that threat hasn't gone away, but something else has joined the party, something newer, way faster, and maybe even more dangerously unpredictable. So that's the big question we're tackling today. What does this new arms race actually look like?
And the sheer scale of this thing is just mind-boggling. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars being poured into this by the major players. The United States, China, Russia. Look, this isn't some side project tucked away in a lab somewhere. This is a full-blown technological sprint, and the stakes could not be higher.
All right, so our first stop, and maybe the biggest escalation of them all, is the world of hypersonic weapons. And let's be clear, this isn't just a slightly faster missile. The arrival of this technology is a fundamental, game-changing shift in the entire balance of global power. It really changes everything.
So what does hypersonic even mean? Well, it's not just about the raw speed, even though traveling at over 5 times the speed of sound is, absolutely insane. The real kicker is the combination of that speed with maneuverability. See, a traditional ballistic missile flies in a predictable arc, kind of like a cannonball. You can track it. But a hypersonic weapon, it can dodge and weave mid-flight, which makes it almost impossible to stop.
And these things basically come in two main flavors. First, you've got your hypersonic glide vehicles, or HGVs. They get launched up into space on a rocket, and then they glide back down, skipping along the top of the atmosphere at incredible speeds. Then there are the hypersonic cruise missiles, the HCMs. Think of these like a super advanced jet that uses these wild engines called scramjets to just blast through the atmosphere at sustained hypersonic speeds.
So who's actually in this race? Well, Russia claims it's already deployed weapons like the Avangard and the Kinzhal missile, which they've apparently used in Ukraine. China is also a huge player here, not just with things like the DF-17, but they've even tested a system that can circle the entire globe before coming down on its target. Meanwhile, the United States, which had focused on other things for a while, is now pumping huge amounts of money into catching up with projects like the RRW missile and the Glidebreaker program, which is designed to, you guessed it, try and counter these very threats.
Okay, so this is the really critical part. Why is this stuff a strategic nightmare? Well, for one, they're just too fast and too shifty for our current missile defense systems. They just can't be stopped reliably. Second, and this is a big one, they can carry either a normal, conventional warhead or a nuclear one, and that ambiguity is what's so dangerous. Imagine you see one of these things coming at you, you have minutes, maybe less, to figure out if it's a conventional attack or the start of a nuclear war. That shrinking response time just massively increases the odds of someone making a catastrophic mistake.
Now, at the exact same time we're having this revolution in speed, we're also having a revolution in intelligence. So that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, the automated battlefield, which is all about the rise of AI and autonomous drones.
And this is a massive leap forward. For years, we've had drones like the Reaper, where a human pilot, maybe thousands of miles away, is always in the loop, making that final call to pull the trigger. But the new frontier is autonomy. We're talking about systems that can use AI to find, track, and attack a target all on their own. The human isn't in the loop anymore. They're just on the loop, supervising a machine that's making its own life or death decisions.
And make no mistake, this tech is already here. It's shaping battles right now. We saw the huge impact of Turkey's Bayraktar TB2 in Ukraine. The US is pushing ahead with its AI-powered Skyborg program to have drones team up. China's Wing-Long drones are being sold all over the world, and Russia has been using its Lancet kamikaze drones extensively. This is not science fiction. This is the reality of war today.
And this, of course, raises some absolutely terrifying ethical questions. Think about it. If an autonomous drone makes a mistake, if it hits a school or a hospital, who's responsible? Is it the programmer who wrote the targeting algorithm, the commander who sent the drone out, the company that built it? This complete lack of clear accountability is one of the scariest parts of AI warfare. This is where it all comes together in a really frightening way. You take these two massive tech revolutions, hypersonics and AI, and they combine to start chipping away at the very thing that, for over 50 years, kept the world from blowing itself up: nuclear deterrence.
That idea was called Mutual Assured Destruction, and its acronym, MAD, was pretty fitting.
The logic was terrifying, but it was simple. If either the US or the Soviet Union launched a nuclear attack, the other side would still have enough nukes left to launch a second strike that would wipe out the attacker. The result? Everybody dies. Nobody wins. It was a very, very fragile peace, but for the most part, it actually worked because a nuclear war was unwinnable.
But today, that whole logic is starting to fall apart. There are a few big reasons why. First, like we talked about, hypersonic missiles open the door to a potential first strike that could, in theory, take out your opponent before they can respond. Second, you've got cyber warfare. What if someone could hack into another country's nuclear command and control? And finally, it's not a two-player game anymore. With more countries having nuclear weapons, the old simple mad logic gets a whole lot more complicated and a whole lot less stable.
And all of this is happening while the global balance of power is shifting under our feet. I mean, just look at this. This chart shows China's nuclear arsenal. Right now, it's around 400 warheads. By 2035, it's projected to be about 1,500. It's set to nearly quadruple. That kind of rapid buildup is creating a new three-way nuclear rivalry between the US, Russia, and China, which makes the world a much more dangerous place than it was during the Cold War.
So, where is all of this headed? The future isn't set in stone, of course, but based on everything that's happening right now, we can start to sketch out a few possible scenarios for what this new, high-tech world might look like.
Okay, so what seems most likely right now is basically a Cold War 2.0. A really tense, high-tech arms race between the great powers, probably fought through smaller, proxy conflicts. Also highly likely, more limited regional wars, kind of like what we're seeing in Ukraine, that are always just one step away from escalating. Then, you have the truly chilling possibility, an accidental nuclear war. Not started by a leader pushing a button, but by an AI glitch, a cyber attack, or just a simple miscalculation in the heat of the moment. And sadly, the thing that seems least likely right now is that we all come together for global peace and arms control with new treaties to get these dangerous new technologies under control.
And really, if you take away one thing, it's this. The whole nature of global conflict has changed. It's not just about nukes anymore. It's this complex, multi-layered race that combines the incredible speed of hypersonics, the intelligence of AI, and the sneakiness of cyber warfare, all sitting on top of that old nuclear threat.
And so we are left with this huge, critical question. Are we just standing here watching the beginning of a terrifying new era of war? Or is there still a path to pull back from the brink, to prevent another global catastrophe? This isn't an abstract problem for generals anymore. It affects the safety of every single person on this planet. The technology is here. The race has already started. The only question now is where we let it take us. Thanks for watching.